Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. And I do like to every few lectures describe who I am. Now, I have written over 35 books, 5 courses. I've been on CNN, the BBC, the Art Bell Show. I've written hundreds of papers. I've been involved in a nonprofit research organization now for about 40 years. I've been researching the large field of manifesting alternative occult science for about 50 years now. So, and not one particular area. I've investigating all of them and have been around the world to many places and so forth. So I am just not some pundit out there, and I've been heavily involved in consciousness machine research for the last 20 years and have been one of the first people to publish very rare text, the first people to actually ever build what would be called metaphysical radionic machines, and to publish information on all this. People who have done things, practical, hard-working people, although goofballish in their nature, who actually went out and did something instead of the pseudo-intellectual PhD-type guys that you hear on other shows that are so stuck in bull that it is unbelievable. So remember, that's the kind of voice of authority you're getting here, not just somebody who's expressing their opinion. Now, with that said, I want to explain occultons and what they are and how they form matter in a brief fashion. You can always talk about these things almost endlessly for hours, which loses most people, but getting it down to an understanding point is critical in this particular time. Now, what forms all matter? Now, quantum goofball bogus physicists who have contrived some sort of theory that was taken from the ancient alchemists, the ancient mystery schools, the ancient wizards, have put together this, what is called quantum physics, in their own little kind of nonsensical reterming. You know, like those idiots from the military who call things remote viewing when it's a psychic process, because they're the basis of everything. And of course, we should give credibility to the military. It's hilarious. But that's what, of course, regular schmientists are constantly doing. Now, what they should be doing is studying the original ancient mystery schools, the alchemy that was even done in modern times, that really explains the function of this universe, this bizarre energy that makes everything, that transmutes matter. Now, the reason they're called occultons is because we're not really sure, and occult just means mystery or hidden. If you have a problem with that, go back to kindergarten with your scientist and your cross. So the whole idea is, those boobalicious people who have kept us from progress through murdering, usually. So the whole idea is that we need to understand that. So it's a hidden energy. It's an unknown energy of exactly what a occulton is made of. But who cares? The bottom line is we know how they work and how to manipulate them. So occultons are what make up the universe. Now, the universe is full of occultons, which is a manifesting energy. You could call this the God force. What does God do? Well, God makes stuff. To think that God takes the time to control stuff afterwards, and you're so egotistical, you satanic, creepnoid using human race that is just so evil and tortures and murders everything. You're so egocentric that God watches you. Yeah. I mean, it's just unbelievable. This is the kind of idiot thinking that causes problems. But I diverse here. So the whole idea is that these energies that are out there are forms all matter. So you could call this the God force, because what does God do? It creates. Past that is an illusion. So it sets up everything to create. And of course, it ultimately creates all sorts of energy forms, life forces, from the very subtle, which could be spirits, the vibration of the energy coming off from uranium, whatever it may be that puts out a field. And these fields start off very, very vibrational, very, as some people call them, frequencies, because people kind of understand that, but that's a poor way of explaining it. So it's putting off some sort of a field that then condenses into matter. And this matter goes from the very subtle, as I mentioned, to the very dense, which you could say is what? What's the dense? Something dense? Lead? So the whole idea is you go from these spectrums, everything in between, and everything past that all starts from these occultons. Now, these occultons are manipulated, ironically and almost strangely, by psions. These are energies that come from other created species from the occultons. So you're really an occulton yourself. You're this energetic field that has been densed down to what you are today, which is some sort of Homo sapien nut job. So, confused about everything in life and looking for daddy. Daddy, take care of me. I have to go to a place on Sunday. So the whole idea is that this is what happens. But what's ironic about it, because you are part of and made from occultons, you can manipulate them with your consciousness and using, as we do with everything, because that's what advanced species do. Advanced species make tools. These tools then make machines. And of course, since we're such nut jobs, we want to make machines to rule over us because we feel we're so inferior. Well, of course, because we're looking for God again. So we can't do anything without God because we're so inferior. So here we go with this kind of nonsense again, which puts us into this spin of chaotic illness. Psycho monkey talk. So the whole idea is that these occultons is how things work. So they are everywhere in the universe. And what are they doing? They're constantly making stuff. Now, it interacts with its environment and starts picking up from the previous things made. So the made items then start affecting the original occultons, and matter becomes created from that. So that's how the universe is formed into all these different things, and they're constantly changing. So if a gaseous ball is created, well, a million years from now, that may turn into a planet or something else. We don't know. That's how occultons keep manufacturing, as one energy field keeps developing into another energy field. And generally, nothing is stable. We live in a tropic environment where everything is breaking down. There's not a single thing on this planet, and even in the universe, that ever is stagnant. Even if it takes 1 billion years, something will change. The sun will burn out. Do people understand that? Our sun is burning out every day, and in 1 billion years it'll be gone. So it means that this planet will not be here forever. So there's going to be major problems, even if we did everything right, which of course we're doing everything wrong. It won't be here forever because all the universe is changing constantly, and that's the nature of occultons. Now, while that's a negative aspect in some ways, it's also the nature of occultons to be molded into anything you want them to be. So this is very fascinating to the ultimate empowerment of the more, I don't know if they're intelligent, but those manipulative species that have figured out how to manipulate these energies. Now, this energy goes back to ancient times, and of course people used occultons, otherwise known as magicians, to manifest from nothing. So when you did a ritual for love, success, etc., well, you're taking occultons and forming them into a type of field and projecting them at a person to control them, to draw things to them, etc. It's just as simple as that. So I hope everybody understands that's where occultons originally came from. It came from the occult sciences, from the magical realms that so many people would like to laugh at. Well, you laugh at that because you're a stooge and you don't get it. Like all of the schmientists and the dumb bunkers and the idiot skeptics who really are living in a fantasy world totally and completely contrived by them. There's no basis of science to it. Now, everybody now understands, quote, and I hate to even use the term quantum physics because all quantum means, which few people understand, it means the smallest possible measurement. Quantum is the smallest amount that you can still measure. That's why it's called quantum physics. People think it means something more than that. It doesn't. But what they're talking about is occulton. So it's occulton energies is what they're measuring and manipulating. So the whole idea is that you can tell an occulton field of energy to form anything you want, to affect a physical ingredient and turn it into something else or transmute its effects. So this now has been quite well proven and something that radionics have been doing for 100 years at least. And as I've mentioned, this is the same principle that's used in magic. Magic talks about taking nothing, but it's not really nothing, it's occultons, and forming them into a energetic informational field. Now, that means an informational field that states to do something, meaning draw someone to you, love me, in terms of doing a love ritual. So you would take an occulton and you would take that energy and sass around someone else by it. And those energies would vibrate into that person, then controlling them. Now, this is on its very difficult level, and magicians have always been doing the impossible, which is creating something from, quote, almost nothing. But not nothing. They're using occulton energy fields. Now, they can also, these occulton energy fields have been accessed and even created for people to understand better by using the name spirit, God forms. And this is one of the greatest questions still in this entire field, since energy tells physical matter what to do. Well, does energy tell spirits what to do? Can you create spirits? Now, the reality of spirits is 100% proven and has been for thousands of years, really. And it has been further in modern times for 150 years, where people have been researching this. They basically prove life after death. There's been many recent studies done by people that mediums that have proven that they have contacted these other people, and it's irrefutable. Only dummies don't believe it because they're stuck in the same belief system of their ignorant, lying ways, and they won't believe anything. So why bother discussing anything with them? So it's been proven by anybody who understands science, and you're rarely going to find any scientist that argues with you. They understand the nebulousness, the strangeness, the quantum interactions. They understand all this because they study it. Only really ignorant, buffoonish people stick to this. You know, your clown college graduates, Penn and Teller, your deviant little munchkin people. It goes on and on, you know, like stage magicians. Every time I have a problem, I go to a stage magician. Hey, how do I handle this, Banachek? Tell me the secrets of healing and how the process of petroleum works. I'm Banachek, yeah. Let me tell you, though. It's all about an illusion because none of it's real. So it's all the nonsense that you get from the boobalicious idiots out there that continue to perpetrate their crimes against humanity. So we can't move on to real effective science and stop the horrible corruption that, of course, they're part of. So these are formed into all matter. That's one of the occultons. It's just as simple as that. And these occultons, as I said, have been used for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. Then it goes back to the great societies who used the essence of all matter, occultons, interacted with psions, meaning what they desire, what their energy wants, to manifest and control physical life. And physical life is just not a rock. Physical life is an energetic field around you that draws you prosperity, that keeps you well, that makes you attractive to others. These are all fields that are around us, and they are physical, measurable fields. You just can't hold them in your hand like a rock. So if you're smiling to you, it doesn't exist, I can't hold it. This kind of idiot thinking is really shocking. But that's what it's all about, and it's as simple and as complicated as that. Now, there are ways that you can, using rituals and machines, to mold these energies to whatever you desire. And the implications here are pretty amazing. that you can basically build or transmute anything with this technology. Once you control occultons, you control the fabric of life. You can transmute all toxins. Take toxic poisons that are in the ocean right now, full of plastic. You could transmute all that. So you can save existence. You can also tune into these things and totally rip them apart, meaning you could have the most destructive energies of all time by working at the occulton level, not to build, but to dismantle. But the implications here, which so much talking about doing with nanoids and other things, which is still a primitive and physical way of doing things. And they're still falling into this old scientist attitude that we have to make these things, which, by the way, tend to be very uncontrollable, while an occulton field is 100% controllable because you control it with your psions. Your psions, which interact with the occultons, determine what the occultons do. Think of the implications of that. Now, how much of this technology is really out there and being used right now by the baddies, which is pretty much everybody on this planet? Well, we don't know. Do they understand it? Have they investigated this? Well, these are the ultimate secrets. Just like all remote viewers have some sort of device they use to assist them in their remote viewing. Have you ever heard them state that? Of course not. The army guy. We kill and murder because we're under contract. Yeah, that's us. We're military murderers. So the whole idea is that that's the problem that we have out there. So you're never going to get truth in what's going on and what these energetic fields and how they're doing. But this is the essence of life. And as I said, the implications here, and I won't go into all of it, with having this kind of empowerment is fairly frightening. And the fact that it is virtually uncontrollable, because most of these kind of consciousness machines don't require expensive technologies to actually make and use. Now, it does take a talented operator to use a radionic conscious machine at a high level, but most people can do it with a small amount of training. Secondly, these machines in themselves can be built pretty inexpensively. They don't really require a lot of sophisticated internal items because it doesn't seem to do anything. So you're basically grabbing and controlling occultons with psions. So it's pretty much a consciousness or mental or psychic process that is then amplified through certain hardware. But this hardware is not something that necessarily costs you a lot. You can do quite a bit with a inexpensive machine. Obviously, there are machines that require, if you want great amplification, tend to be costly because certain modified and advanced amplifiers can be very expensive. But in general, they don't have to be. Simple little machines can do amazing things. So all of this is mind-boggling, but hopefully you understand now the interaction of what occultons are and how they shape matter.